off via awkward key combinations. I can get various of these things. I'm probably going to want to edit the way those bind later, but for now the functionality is there, which is fine. So, you know, below the character here, let's go to where there's two characters so it's more obvious. Below the character is the name of the animation state in the state file, or the name of the node in the state file that we animation. So I guess what'll happen is they'll play the wrong and return. So if we're in some state and that state gets whatever, let's see what happens. Did earlier. And we're going to have a load. Oh, let's copy this. Oak for shadow maps. We'll say the animation. Oh, we have a draw debug view. Where is draw debug view? In debug draw, okay. Didn't know I had that. Oh, for shadow. Maps. Okay. If debug draw animation, do draw animation. All right. So we're going to go into main. Oh, let's copy this for a second. We're going to, oh, actually, we have a subfile for our animation stuff. So we're going to go into here, and we're going to load if developer load animation HUD. And we're going to have a do draw animation HUD, and it's just going to be empty. Why do I call it do draw? It's just empty. Print drawing animation. Alright, let's bring add source animation HUD. Files and stuff. Once in a while I make a mistake there. So I'm going to go over to my laptop where you can't see, and I'm just going to update game and make sure that all the files are checked in and that it compiles and runs and stuff. So wait, it doesn't compile for some reason, did I not? I didn't compile it here. Okay, because I didn't make that variable. Fine. Bug draw animation is a bool. Okay, compiles here. Add missing variable. Back on the laptop. And it compiles on the laptop, that's good. And it runs on the laptop. And my guy's running around. And all the work that we did still works. So I like it when that happens. Okay. That is good. It is good. So, now you'll note this printout is not happening yet because this variable is not set to true. So we want to go into the key map and where is toggle debug mode? It's in player control. Why is it in player control? I don't know. Like, why are these? Oh, it's because. Well, yeah, okay. Whatever. We'll move it later. So, when I hit F9, at the bottom it should start doing print statements. Yep, drawing animation HUD. And then it's not anymore. Okay, so that's fine. Why did F9 do something for my program? All right, commit add F9 to title animation HUD. So now we actually have to draw things. Let's go to our other. It's been a while since I drew text on the screen. So we have a different HUD file, which is our general game one. So let's, since I drew text on the screen, let's go to our other. It's been a while since I drew text on the screen. So we have a different HUD file, which is our general game one. So let's go to this one. And we'll say we're rendering in unit scale, which is how we do text for some reason. Draw faders. We're probably going to want the current time at some point. None of this matters. And what font are we using? I don't know, but then we're calling draw text. Where does that font variable come from? Editor fader font. Well, oh, it's on the fader. Okay. So I'm going to say this. Scope, file, font, dynamic font. If we have no font, we set the font to be not particularly big. Okay. Text. Hello, animation sailor. And we do this get string width in pixels. We got to say where we want to draw it. So we get the width in pixels of the text. Effect is no effect, it's just regular text. And then our y coordinate is going to be so we're just going to do this. And okay. Let's do this. So typically I draw text twice. I draw like a backing text that is a little bit darker. Factor that into something later. This F is capitalized. Number mismatch, signed versus unsigned. All right. Actually, no background color. Right, so we have to decide what colors we're drawing this in. Those are vector 4s, I guess. So VG color is a vector 4 of 0, 0, 0. We'll give it an alpha of like 0.5. FG color, 0.711. It's not called FG color, it's just called color. Okay. Maybe something will appear on the screen. Hello, animation sailor. Okay. That's fine. I can toggle that. Let's get rid of this now. Let's put it higher up. Let's just say animation, and let's see what fonts we have. Silkerbomb, data, fonts. We got a bunch. Yeah. Let's use Open Sans because we're going to be drawing this potentially small. Animation. All right. That's good. Anytime you can get something to toggle on the screen bound to a key press, you are already winning. Any questions about what happened there? Well, I get a little bit of candy bar because of that. So the next thing to do is I'm going to want to draw animation overlays on all the characters, which means I have to like unproject their position from the screen and all that, which I don't totally remember how to do, so that's going to be entertaining. But here's what I'm going to do. I want to say for so I'm going to get the entity manager for manager by type dot guy. This will iterate over every guy. We later may want to do all entities or other entities, but for now we're just concerned about animating guys. And we're going to say draw animation info for the guy. Draw animation info. We'll just say it's an entity, right? And not do anything. Oops, this is supposed to be a dot. All right. Yeah, I mean, if you're not paying that much attention, you're not going to have questions, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know who's going to sit here and watch this stream and pay full attention for hours. Maybe some people do, but I think a lot of people just hang out and chat or whatever. Maybe some people wait for it to show up on YouTube and then watch it 2x speed or something. I don't know. I don't know how people watch these. Hey, the industry standard did not do project. I want to draw like the bones on the guy, and I'm going to want to draw some annotation text. In fact, a good first goal will be to draw just the name of the animation state that the guy is in right now under the guy. That will be good success. But even before, well, let's do that, okay. And let's draw it in a fixed position so that the text is correctly on the screen. And then we'll worry about back projecting it. I like that. I like that. Okay, so we're going to say S is E dot, oh shoot. We have to cast him back up to guy. Oh no, don't we? Let me see. Animation state is a thing on guy. You know what? Let's put that on entity. Because we're going to want to animate other entities. But no, you know what? Okay, we're going to do it on guy for now because this is going to be a little bit involved. And I'd rather not do that work until I put animation state on a different entity type. Because then I'll be approaching the problem for real. I don't want to do this like faux abstraction that people do when they don't really know what they're doing. So I'm going to say guy is a guy, refactor, make draw animation info, take an entity instead of a guy, which will involve factoring animation state onto entity. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. So guy dot animation state dot animation state. I'm taking a pointer to that. Call that AS because that's what we did in that other routine. And let's go back and look at that. You know, this should really be, I meant to move this into the other file. This should be in graph. Because all of this is specific to graph. Let's make sure that compiles. Yeah. Let's make sure that runs. Okay, so we've got our pointer, the animation state, and we have this node name, and I guess this only happens in developer, so we can use the node name. So I'm just going to say name is as.node name, and we're just going to have some x and y coordinates that are hard-coded now to x, back, buffer, width, times O.1, y is back, buffer, are we using height? height times O.4. And then we're just going to draw some text at those coordinates. So I'm going to factor out this get shadow offset so I don't copy paste it. Get shadow offset font dynamic font to int. So then we'll do that down here as well. X, OX. We don't do it that way. We say when we draw the text, we're just going to say XY. Call this foreground color, background color, and X plus OX, Y plus OY. No, it's the wrong way. We want the foreground to be in the right place. This, and then that will make it readable. And this, and let's call this the foreground color as well. Foreground color has to go on top because I'm not stupid. All right, we have no text. Oh, it's not called text. It's called, whoops, name. Integer versus float, right? Well, make it an int, because we don't, like, if we had subpixel anti-alias text drawing, then it would make sense for X and Y to be floats, but we do not, because we're using a method of text drawing that just like draws the bitmap down, and if you actually adjust that subpixel, it looks really bad. Okay, so I don't know what that's going to do. Hey, look. He's in state active, state walking, state active, state walking, state pushing, and then now we've got two guys, and because we're not drawing these in the right place, we're not drawing them in the right place because we haven't done the end project. But now that we do, we will know where to put them. What do I think about the Game Maker Studio engine? I don't know anything about it. It's probably fine if you want to get into making games. I don't know. Some people have definitely used it to good effect. I think Spelunky was made in Game Maker originally, so that's pretty good. All right. So now we just have to draw these in the right place. How do we do that? Set matrix for entities. What is the matrix? So we're going to say I'm going to call these integer x and integer y, because we're going to have floating point x and y's that come out of the unproject operation. So we're going to say x, y are or project, not unproject, we're projecting. Project guy position guy. And that's going to just be casting to int x and casting to int y. Project guy position. Actually, let's call it project entity position. This definitely doesn't need to be guy. Project entity position. Okay, so this is fine. It still doesn't go to the right place because we just moved our hard-coded things into here. But now we've got a known procedure that we can do this operation in. So this set matrix for entity stuff does the following things. And the thing is, it's going to muck with set matrix for entities to grab the transforms, then render 2D so we can go. Oh, you know what? Yeah, whatnot. I would say that this is a total hack, except it's not, because we're gonna want draw the bones in the transform space anyway. So we're going to want to be rendering for a while in 3D. Okay, so we're going to say 3D rendering time, and then 2D rendering time. You know what, let's not put that in a separate scope. Let's just do this. Okay, set matrix for entities. Entity manager. So the offset thing is a minor thing. It doesn't apply to any of the levels that we're playing right now, so we can handle that later. Let's just make sure we didn't break anything by doing that, and that we can still see our text. Yes, we can. That's good. So if I set matrix for entities, for the guy, now if I just start drawing stuff, it should go to where the guy is. And we're going to want to draw bones later. So for now, let's just draw a quad that faces up. I have various routines that draw quads. Well, so vector 2s, vector 3s with a normal, let's do that. We've got to set the shader. Whoops. Make a quad facing up and draw it. I'm going to say like the radius of the quad is like O.3. No, let's make it 1. It's going to be a 2 square wide thing. It'll be impossible to miss. I'm going to say P0, no, center, make, is vector 3, the center of the guy, but offset in Z by half a square, and then P0 is center plus V3 minus R0, 0, or no, minus R, P1 is plus R minus R, P2 is plus R, and P3 is minus R, plus R. And we're going to go immediate begin, immediate flush, and between those we go immediate quad, P0, P1, P2, P3. The normal is going to be P3 is straight up the Z-axis, and the color is going to just be a hard-coded. Alpha is 255, red is 0, green is full, blue is full. So like that, and we want to set the shader to like I don't know what this is going to do, because we're not really setting a lot of shaders today. Let's just see what happens. Oh, it's not appearing. So that is not too surprising. It could be because it's upside down. I want to see my quad. I want to see my quad. Why do I not see my quad? Is it because it's upside down? Or is it because I'm not setting enough shader state? State. Shader state. Oh, ARGB, no texture. So this should be double-sided and not care about texture reviews and stuff. Okay, so we still don't see it. I don't know if that shader uses this matrix. This is, so it's an interesting thing because, you know, this rendering engine is pretty basic. Like, it was a fixed function pipeline render at first, and then I expanded it to do shader-based stuff, which is more complicated. And then I haven't looked at that in a long time, so there's a little bit of a mixture going on. So I could pop open render doc and look at what the hell is happening. Let's do that, because we haven't done that in a long time. God, no. So this is 0.33. I downloaded 0.34 and tried to use it, and it like didn't work at all. I don't know what they're thinking. Okay, so C socoban run 3 soco debug.exe. Can I save this? Launch. Okay, so we're going to turn this on. Oh look, now we see the quad for some reason. It's not in the right place, but it's at, okay, it's at world 0, 0. So something about RenderDoc is messing with the state enough that we can actually see it. So what's happening though is we're not, we want something that actually uses the matrices. What happens if I do this? Okay, now we totally don't see it at all, but that's not necessarily surprising because the reason I didn't want to use Shader Basic 3D before is it's got all this weird state like skinning and stuff. And you have to like set bone indices on your vertex format, and it just gets complicated. So let's not do that. Let's transform these manually. So did it really just not show up here? Yeah, it's so weird. The problem with a Heisenbug like this is I'm not sure. Oh, now it's not showing up anyway. Seriously? This is what I love about graphics programming. It's like all like this. It was there a minute ago. You guys saw it. Maybe it wasn't to do with RenderDoc. Maybe it was just that it shows up sometimes. Maybe it was that no, it wasn't anything to do with going into the editor. Oh, don't I need to press the hotkey? Yes. So thanks for that. That shows you how aware I am right now. Okay, so it's working. I just didn't press the damn hotkey. You know what let's do? You know what let's do? Let's set this to true, because why do I have to forget to press the hotkey? All right, this is fine. So we're just, so that we don't have to set up bone indices and crap, which we might want to do. I don't know. For now, I'm just going to do it super dumb, and we're going to let's go to so when we call refresh transform, we get this thing called object to proj matrix that projects well. If I just if I'm just going to transform these manually, then I just, for now, for 3D, I just want, you know, the object to world matrix, and the rest of it will just happen. Because the view transform and all that, yes. How does the object to world matrix get computed? Object to world. Okay, we set it here. So we say, let's just do that. We'll say set object to world matrix, and let's downcast to entity. Right. So that we don't need a guy. We need a guy for the animation state. But we don't need a guy for stuff like setting object world matrix to e dot position, e dot orientation, e dot scale. That calls refresh transform. Ho! Are you kidding me? We're crashing. Compiler crash. Has to do with the downcast to entity. Bug fix me compiler crash if this, and that's got to be just a really dumb bug, because it's the sort of thing that has worked forever, we're going to have a fun compiler bug fixing stream. All right. Okay, hey look, it's following him around. It's jumping square by square because I used e.position and not e.visual position. So jumping square by square because I used e.position and not e.visual position. So let's make the square much smaller now that we can see it. And we're going to use visual position. Hey, okay. So we're ignoring Z-buffer and drawing this over him, even though it should be penetrating the mesh. But that's what we want, because we're going to draw bones on the guy. And they're inside the geometry, but we want to see them on top of the scene. So this is good. So now I'm just going to do a thing where we take his position This is weird because, okay, so I'm going to want his unrotated position. What is my default quaternion? Is it 0001 or 0000? It's 0001 ostensibly. So we're going to do the following. We're going to set to no rotation, which is and we're going to say do I have a transform point procedure? Do I have a transform point procedure? Not here, but I may in the program. Because, you know, when you put a 3D point through a 4x4 matrix, you make it homogeneous and multiply and then divide out the thing, which in this case, it's not going to be a perspective matrix, but whatever. So, in this case, it's not going to be you make it homogeneous and multiply 3D point through a 4x4 matrix, you make it homogeneous and multiply and then divide out the thing, which in this case, it's not going to be a perspective matrix, but whatever. So why is ultra search? Did like my F9 jam ultra search? What is going on? Okay, whatever. Transform point. It's just underscore point. A lot of people say underscore point. I hate not knowing what something is called. To world space. I have some functions called something like that. Okay. Why is C drive here? We don't want C drive. Okay, main. Well, Well, whatever. I know that we have. I know that we have these routines because Ignacio wrote them. What are they called? They're called transform. I'm just going to look a little bit more. Transform underscore. No. Okay, that's not helpful. Shader. Transform location. And that's a different thing.
I'm just a hat too tall, the shots I can call. I don't really even have to sweat money at all. This is so built to ball and something off the wall. The babies even try to walk before they can crawl. You want to toss yours in the ring? Go right to the king. I get rid of them quick with all that you bring. My thing in full swing. When the bell go ding, the figure sounds about right. Cha-ching. Hurt your boy is no joke. Before you ever see him go, see him lining up all in.
I don't remember. Well, that's commented out code. Maybe I'm just going to write it over again. Maybe I'm just going to write it over again because I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, I don't know, guys. So we're just going to do it. So what was I wanting to do? I wanted to set the object to world matrix with no rotation. And then I want to take something, because I know, I mean, if I'm trying to be smart, I could try and figure out what direction the frickin' camera's in, but right now, we already know what direction the camera's in. So we want to go, you know, minus, we want to take the guy's position. Well, plus tag offset, or name offset. 3, 0 in x, minus 0.5 in y, 0 in z. So it's going to be, so the 0, 0, 0 for these characters is the point, you know, at the center of the square or between their feet or whatever. And so we want to put the name a little bit south of that. So what's it called again? It's called object to world matrix. So I'm going to say V4 is, well, not V4, but oh. Basically, we want to take the origin of, well, let's see if we have a V4 that's this. This is so confusing. I mean, you can put your different translation elements wherever you want, and it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, okay, this matrix is going to be the guy, and then my offset is going to be here, and I'm going to say pause for prime is object to world matrix times that point, and then in theory we have to divide out the homogeneous element, but let's just make sure that we have enough to do that. It's missing argument z. Okay, whatever. Whoa. Do I not have matrix?
Settle back in the afternoon, munching on lemonade and macaroons, letting a penance on a glass of tune, feeling lovely. Bullshit can never touch me. A hard day's work, shower up, a nigga musty, fresh and clean, splash and neck smell good. Pop the collar scholar, cause I'm knocking on wood. Good luck will follow, let's cop a bottle. Let's live today, promise stay tomorrow. Listen to wise words, 2 sips calming my nerves. Put the drink down, front tires hitting the curb. Stepping out of the car, sight stall the realest. Nothing but the truth, my presence will hurt feelings. Living it up, not a baller but still maintain. Getting myself ready, man, go slow, change lanes.
Swerving from lane to lane.
Moving the steering wheel side to side. The daily grind got me up in the rat race, but now I pull over, pit stop and change pace. Gotta get a breather or else I either fall down and get back up and maintain. The daily grind got me up in the rat race, but now I pull over, pit stop, change pace. Gotta get a breather or else I either fall down and get back up and maintain. It's like a cool drink of water on a hot day, refreshing. I'm in your area, town, neighborhood, and section. Money left over after bills is a blessing. So now I'm out in the town, eternal reflection. Coming out the speakers right before ether. I need ya. After this track, Bahamadia. Making the mix, hearing 96 through the stereo. Fuck the radio as I slide through your barrio. Driving along, hoping the traffic is gone. Turn it up and push repeat, cause it's my favorite song. Coldplay, what the soul say, I'm singing along. Parachuting out the sky, track number 2 is on. Vibing the music, letting my whole mind lose it. I'm never around Judas, I'm a man of my word. Fuck bullets out of the heater, it's beats out of the speaker. Reach out of your corner and embrace the world. Stress on the nerves, react and wanna swerve. But fuck it, I'm staying steady, do you know what you heard? Wisdom out of the tooth, the elder speaking to youth. I'm sitting back in the booth, just reciting my words. The daily grind got me up in the rat race, but now I pull over, pit stop and change pace. Gotta get a breather or else I either fall down and get back up and maintain. The daily grind got me up in the rat race, but now I pull over, pit stop, change pace. Gotta get a breather or else I either fall down and get back up and maintain.
It's summer chill, I know you feel me.
Back and maintain.
It's summer chill, I know you feel me.
Back and maintain.
It's summer chill, I know you feel me.
And maintain. Maintain. It's all real.
Spanish fly line for line as I'm ripping the rhyme. Precise styles in the Kenya now. We be the sign showing you hope. Out of life, slippery slopes. Adolescent teens turn from God, embrace dope. That ain't the answer. Stress of the world giving me cancer, but fuck that. Moving through streets like Black Panther. The world stands still. Black you living in landfill. No way to pay the bill, so it's now kill or be killed. But that mind state is irate. Raising up all the crime rates. We need to sit back. Let the mind revelate. Regulate, hate itself and get immaculate wealth. Releasing your delf. Put out all the draw for the show. Cause life ain't no crystal stair, we just here. Ignorance is on the rise and niggas just don't care. Ain't fair how we living, money is just spending. We need to slow down and meditate for a minute. Life ain't no crystal stair, we just here. Ignorance is on the rise and niggas just don't care. Ain't fair how we living, money is just spending. We need to slow down and meditate for a minute.
I let my light beam, dodging and weaving life scheme. Meet the mic fiend, I'm assassinating pipe dreams. Hunger for war, a revolution's at your door. When can't we all just get along? Sound boring, we want freedom, real freedom, that's all. Therefore, me and my comrades, we here to blast off. My shots echo, 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 echo. I'm bringing it back like retro, cause centuries of memories I can't let go. Most of y'all heard of us, the Jim Crow murder bus. Black activists with a black activist. Ignorant fools catch a backslapping fist. It's been a long time, sign we shouldn't left you. You're without a conscious rhyme in step 2. Just popping a Gasonian. All Babylonians, behold this son of a gun that's not ponying.
Life ain't no crystal stair, we just here. Ignorance is on the rise and niggas just don't care. Ain't fair how we living, money is just spending. We need to slow down and meditate for a minute. Life ain't no crystal stair, we just here. Ignorance is on the rise and niggas just don't care. Ain't fair how we living, money is just spending. We need to slow down and meditate for a minute. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, as
sidestep, cause you never know when your time is next. So I calculate my thoughts and put them on cassette, so my future seeds can hear me on tracks I bless. Nevertheless, I progress against darkness, a one-man army without the use of technology. Quite possibly my words bomb philosophy, but philosophical thoughts deeply can't follow. Nothing's pretty in the king spread love, but Abyssinians, Westerners are trying to be God like French Dominions. I can't respect that, my mind just neglect that bullshit. I bring this mystical full clip, I can't tire. With God, I plan higher. I started Civil War, Confederates catch fire, cause
our world, this is a paradise, boy.
life ain't no crystal stair, we just here. Ignorance is on the rise and niggas just don't care. Ain't fair how we living, money is just spending. We need to slow down and meditate for a minute. Life ain't no crystal stair, we just here. Ignorance is on the rise and niggas just don't care. Ain't fair how we living, money is just spending. We need to slow down and meditate for a minute. Minute.
It's something you can listen to with a cool summer breeze. Or in the winter with the snow on the trees. Doesn't really matter. Any time of day, any season. Just make sure you press play and believe it. Yeah. If I could turn back the hands of time, I hit rewind like a butterfly effect. Erase all the lies and take back all the time that I spent doing nothing. Could have been more productive, focused on something. It's gone in the blink of an eye. We don't realize how fast it flies until it speeds by. No matter how hard you try, you can't hold it. Let go of that attachment, get lost in the moment. You already know it. Time's an illusion. There never would have been any masters without the students. The blueprint exists in my memory banks, locked away behind my brain cells, waiting for the show and tell. Open your mind like a window on a summer day. And it's okay to let your thoughts out and play. We got them on community watch, so die Joe. Just open up your ears to the soul food. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Just remember, it's all relative. Celebrate life, don't make it harder than it is. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Just remember, seize every moment. Time ain't waiting for you, you gotta own it. Just breathe and inhale the you. Breathe. Cause the breeze speaks truth and it's traveling for miles and miles, peeping the smiles from above with a bird's eye, gliding through the blue skies. The definition of a new high, always in control even though we might nosedive. You know the sun still survives, you think the moon gets surprised when it's his turn to shine? Nah, he does his best to illuminate the sky. Nowadays he ain't even gotta try. So pay attention to the signs as they guide you. Lost is a frame of mind, check what's inside you. If it's behind you, then let it be. Ain't no bringing it back from the dead, just let it rest in peace. There's no need to get worried, just let your mind settle, get prepared for the journey. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Just remember, it's all relative. Celebrate life, don't make it harder than it is. Cause time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Just remember, seize every moment. Time ain't waiting for you, you gotta own it. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever. Time passes, life passes, nothing ever lasts forever.
have operator times for matrix vector. Look at all these operator times as I have. Did not match any of the possible. Given function, oh, times v4, not v4, times pos 4. v4 is a function. All right, so I could have some helper functions to make this nicer, but whatever. Cleanup, I am pretty sure I have a routine. To transform a 3D point and get back a 3D point psi. Okay, so pos 3 prime wait. What am I even doing? I don't want to do this. I want to I'm going to do this the other way. I'm still going to need this comment. But I'm going to want to go, I want to go all the way to projected screen coordinates. That's the point, because I'm drawing 2D text. So I'm going to go back to putting this here, right? And getting a, now I've got a full matrix, and this set object to world matrix gives us matrices all the way down to projection. So I've got something called object to proj matrix. So I'm going to say projected object to proj matrix times v4 0, 0, 1. That's all we're trying to do. I'm just going to print that to the console every frame. Okay. That doesn't seem right to me. Why is that? X is 1, X is 2, X is 3. These are still in world space units. Oh, because I'm rendering 2D right-handed, I want to say, when you say rendering 2D right-handed, it sets up like an ortho thing. Rendering set matrix for entities gives us a projection. Right, so tell me get to work, young kid, but I got my own pen, I'll put you up on it. It goes. Does set object to world matrix fight with that? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Welcome to graphics programming. No, it should leave the other things there, because this is all it does. One more, they be screaming encore. I'll be saying peace out as I leave the side door, meeting up with my kinfolk, rolling up that indo, rolling 5 feet to the drive-through window. We go, need more pico de gallo, already still mine. Let's make sure it's not earlying out there. So this like figures out the camera and does all the stuff, man. Like that should do it. So I'm not sure where these coordinates are coming from, honestly. Why they're scaled so high. I mean, they're approximately correct, apart from being scaled so damn high. It's like about 1 unit per square, which is not what I would expect for the projection. Why? Why? This might just be a thing where I haven't thought about it in so long that I forgot how it works or something. It's possible. But I want to put the text in the right place. Okay, wait though. The square is coming out correctly, so maybe this is the coordinate system that I'm using for whatever bizarre reason. I'm not sure why that would be. I'm pretty sure these are supposed to be left multiplied, because that's times column vectors, because that's the way I always do it. Let me, if we just ignore all this stuff and use our old matrix from the guy without modifying it by the offset, yeah, it's still scaled in this way. But I'm not sure how to convert that to coordinates we can use. Why am I using such wacky projected coordinates? Like, by the time it gets into the shader, it must be getting renormalized. Oh, because W, I'm not dividing by W. Hello, W is 8. This is what happens when you don't do graphics programming enough. I hope somebody caught that in the chat. All right, so this is reasonable. God, I'm so stupid. All right, so here x is like -0.6, which seems reasonable. It's around 0. It's around plus 0.6. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's what we expect. Okay, this is fine. And then I'm just going to say text x. Oh, well, we had this project entity position. I guess I'm not going to do, I did all that thing to do this, and I'm not going to use it now. So I'm going to say text x equals projected.x times back buffer width. Projected.x. So that's going minus 0.5 to 0.5. So you want to go plus 0.5. So now it's going, or no, it's going from -1 to 1. So we go times 0.5 to go to minus 0.5 to 0.5 and then plus 0.5, right? And then times back buffer width and text y times back buffer height, I think. And text x, text y are floats. X is text x, y is text y. Hey, it's following him. That's great. So we made progress. And in this case, now we can see both of them because the text is following them. That was way more work than it should have been, but it's what happens. Like, I've been doing compiler programming and gameplay programming. I haven't been doing graphics programming in a while. Any questions about what the hell just happened there? Let's add the offset back in, because the reason I was doing this stuff was to get that offset. So now it should be like more like starting at his feet. Yeah. So you see that. I certainly could pick a better color for this. But whatever. Okay. Now I guess I'll center it. Let's center it. IX. Oh. The cast has a really tight precedence right now. I'm not sure if that's correct, but okay, that's more centered anyway. And I want this border to be bigger. Remember when I did this get shadow offset? Let's make it twice as much. Yeah, well that might be too much. No, you know what? I want it to be less, but I want it to be darker. 0.8. No, that's not. No, that's the wrong 0.5. That's the right one. Hope people caught that. All right, that's at least a little punchier. Yeah, let's slow down time a bit. Yeah, we're walking. Ooh, inactive. Inactive to active. Yeah. You're drawing a small amount of elements compared to the scene and guy meshes and stuff. Do you worry about performance for specific purposes, or is it just the right way to do it? So this is not only a small number of elements that I'm drawing right now in this debug thing, but it's only for developers, so you tend not to worry about performance for that kind of thing, unless it becomes a hindrance to workflow. But you tend to assume that developers just set the options that we want in regular user code. 8. So, and so we have this last point, and this is never is over here. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do the shadow. Now it's let's make sure it gets all the way to compiling. Debugging in, because I'm not this like actually calling for the evening, but a green screen is probably not quite enough. So I'm going to try and draw some text, and we'll see how far we get there. So to draw text, well, we have to set our shader. All right. Now let's take one. you walk, if you walk to the side, like, so if I walk off to the left, I'm going toward the outside. And then I can just run those tests all the time to verify. So here's the thing. This game is a turn-based game. And therefore, you know, it's got a very predictable response to inputs, right? You go left a square, you go down a square, you go right a square. That has those consequences of moving you very well-defined amounts. And there's only a couple other controls. There's a character switch control, and there's, in some game modes, there's a pick-up, put-down control. So I figure I can just do, by input buffering, I can set up a bunch of gameplay tests. And then I can just run those tests all the time to verify back. Flow. We're going to load it. All right, so buffer move, this has the we're going to do colon B. Who's moving? Right. Go file. Call something. Catalog asset chain. Concatenate lines. Lines is a array app. We go right, we go right, we go down, down, left, left, down. Non-timed levels. Let me see if we get a new. I want to see if this works correctly. Emacs, I hate. I mean, it looks like it maybe worked. I don't know. Yeah. All right. So hard-coded commands. Because when we say testing equals false, report game. Nobody cares. We don't have. All right. We're just gonna continue. Really, there's no. While we're. Is it something measurable, or are you looking for glitches? Well, certainly. See what I'm saying? Here's got to go first. All right. Here, only. I hope I got. Where console. I don't know. There's undos happening, that's all I'm going to say. Okay, however, that doesn't let us test everything because, for example, on these levels, we have a key that we press to activate mirrors and stuff, and we don't do that yet. We don't record that. So I have two objectives today. My first objective is to record activations like this, right? And be able to play them back. So I want to be able to save and record gameplay for all these mirror levels. So that's objective number one. Objective number two, once that's done, is instead of a level by level playback like this, where I have to restart it every time, I want to then just have a batch test that goes and runs every test at once and then reports which ones failed. And while I'm doing that, I might as well do a soak test, which is just, it runs until you shut it down for days and days. We're recording inputs. Okay, this is a little bit goofy anyway. Sure, because this is new code. What all the files are. Okay, without is going to be strip path extension short name. In the playbacks. It's like and records them to see if you can break the game. That is a good idea as well. In fact, you know, are there any questions about what happened? Obviously, there's a few things to debug, as I said, but this is great progress. Oh, I was going to record a list of failed and not failed tests. I should do that before we finish the stream and issue a report at the end. Yeah. How about a mode that hits random keys and records them to see if you can break a game? That is a good idea as well. In fact, you could have a mixture that, like, does the soak test by running the level or going to the level, hitting random keys for a long time, and then going to the next, right, instead of running the playback, just doing random keys. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, okay. There's mild reasons to do this. YouTube VOD implementation of this, waiting 24 hours for Twitch affiliate. I don't know what that means. All right. Is this game more easier to make than The Witness? Yes, it is, for sure. Recorded, and it'll use those to solve the level. Oh, yeah, yeah. Friend at EA told you about this trick, the random key thing. You use as part of their subtesting. Totally works like shorter levels or longer levels, and so forth. Characters and the environment. Wrote. All right. Just was trying to introduce. All right. The campaign state, because this is the non-entity information that you need. Same here. But it's example when determined. Okay. Not the right. Screw it. That's all. Is associated one per entity manager. Let's find out. State is going to be all right. Get gameplay time is going to be CS is get. Is it called get current campaign? I don't know. Get campaign state. Get campaign state. Okay. That's fine. That's what we're doing. That's how we're doing it. We're just committing now instead of undoing things. Okay. Update emitter. Okay. Oh, you can save the file. That's weird. I haven't seen that one. It's another bug, gotta get fixed. Alright. Current time is not a member of time info. This is for drawing fog of war. Should game at the just then I. What do you mean? So much potential for me to be breaking things really bad right now. Remember is last turn time. Does anyone use that? Oh, yeah. Particles use that. Particles use that. Yeah. Tedious and annoying as this seems like, right? Just try. So no idea. Okay. Okay, this is just setting it back. So, I'm a little surprised that I wasn't backing up and restoring the time. That makes me suspicious that I'm doing it somewhere else that I haven't noticed. Okay, skipping steps. Current DT is not a member of time info. Of course it isn't. Yeah, I already have a DT up there. Time. No, that's if that's used in a shader, it's probably used for the mirage effect, which should be gameplay time. Is it called current frame DT? What did I even call that? Current frame DT. Okay. Just setting it to, maybe we never set it. Oh, maybe. Always check for the plus equals, folks. That's how tired I am. Yep. It's in update skipping stones for some reason. Which is really not. Really not the right place for it. Okay, potential loss of information. Loss of information. I messed up that. No capital T. Before I can undo still. Uh-oh, the particles didn't work. But we'll see. Right this second is because I'm kind of tired and that's complicated and I might mess it up. To the replay system. All right. Great. Well, I'm going to save that out. Clock remapping. I am not going to try to all the way do the like the full feature delivery of this would be now to go to the replay system and make it handle time levels. The reason I don't want to do that right this second is because I'm kind of tired and that's complicated and I might mess it up. I'd rather go to bed and do it in the morning. So I'm instead just going to cross off this part of it. And then we can chase down some other things that are maybe easier that have been sitting around for a while. That's 2 items right there that we just did in theory. It's almost time to rewrite this to-do list. We got to 2 pages for a while, but we're going to be back on 1 page soon. Okay, so I have 2 items. There's this whole problem where when we make a clone, it doesn't animate. It's the same because okay, the graph itself doesn't have names catalog. Do that as well. Clone animation state source dot animation state dash. It looks better. The being on exit really confuses it. Okay, so that animation clone really didn't do something off here. Problem. Already exists. That is an interpolation. Okay, now we should be able to see the difference. That is accurate. There we go. There we go. If I had seen that 20 minutes ago, I would have known what the problem was immediately. Look at that. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. All right. Well, why do we have a thing with no name? Well, we're probably calling add animation. Why do we? Well, why do we have a thing with no name? Well, we're probably calling add animation channel when we create the thing. Well, let's look at what, so we call set mesh, add animation player. Okay. Okay, it's this one. So I'm gonna one time. Did for tonight the list. Do that since you makes it. And we'll all be on 1 page again and we'll all be happy. Maybe. There's some easy ones on here, or there's some isolated. Let's just say isolated ones. Just one or two relatively big ones, but a bunch of smalls. And in game with this, I think we want to filter that out. I thought that it was like putting all good. Go over here. Print this before color. Fate for one of the demos, for tomorrow's demo, I figured out how to set the console internally to the program to UTF-8. So that'll be good. Let me write that down. Move, color, add UTF-8 in it. But before we do that, one of the things we do with logging is we send it to the console, which is this thing that, you know, I can drop down at any time, put the like type. Okay. With the end, and I can just do. So putting bullet, go to console. That also at runtime. Terminal processing, which turns on the colors. So now you can use colors from anywhere. Previously, this was buried in the console system, so if somebody else wanted colors from anywhere, previously, this was buried in the console system, so if somebody else wanted to print things, they would have a new here. We calculate something in a mesh program, right? You would definitely say sound effect. A stupid hack. Fix. It's not built. Tab. 8. Well. So, people, right? The files that are in people's folder. Has the friends and family release gone as smoothly as you planned? It has not happened yet. It has not happened yet. Is lots of tests anytime. So this.num witness code. I could get 968. Startup time equals a different thing. Time just the first time after startup that we needed a stamp. So the point of this is just if you do multiple sessions in the same day, you'll get a different thing, as long as you didn't run the program twice in the same second and try to export an OPS file, which won't happen. Okay. Failed. Second. We better feedback on. So in the bit export capability difference, flash that error, set up a copy, modify, report, editor report. Okay. So, or back better face the problem. If we just run that, because we haven't done DJ. I large hours proceed actually anyway. So if I go 15, you may have seen these compilers. We do. Oops. I don't know what we're doing. Out our tax timeline is just really don't have information that can differentiate them from anyone. What is it? Plan levels. For now, I'm just going to say let's deepen the camera angle. Oh, my cable doesn't reach. Okay, for next time. You know, going to have a x-axis. Usually when that happens, it's because the codes that are actually what's it called? Fast report. What's it called? Game report. Short game report. Isn't the camera? If oh no, nor random. I'm going 1, 2. It's one frame. Pending at there. Bargain. Probably because the key was held down because we didn't have focus. I have to make time real slow. Real slow, and we'll try this again. So undo end frame. Bing. Bing. Okay, when we hit the middle of the square, we bing. So now we're going to data breakpoint. OX20EE3218F foo. Okay. So now we're here. And hit Z. Oh, right. Because we popped the thing. So of course the count goes down. Than before. Well, it's a very, okay. We're just going to need to do it really differently than how it works. And maybe I'm going to attack that in the morning. Because right now we're storing this old data and new data in the entity itself. And did instead. Anything in any programming language. Multiple times and work. We've best how about game development? Let's check. Hello everybody, we will start in 1 or 2 minutes here. Just give people time to show up. You ordered 6 different green teas, okay? Is it too big of a meme to ask to be reminded of when the compiler is being released? I don't know what that means. For free Twitch Prime sub, I wouldn't complain, but I'm not, you know, the amount of money this channel is going to take in is probably negligible compared to, you know, the cost of running our game company. So really the reason why I signed up for affiliate is just so that everybody gets quality options when the stream starts. That's one thing that I heard happens, right? It used to be we have to wait for a long time, and then people who have low bandwidth would suffer for the 20 or 30 minutes before Twitch would give them quality options, or they'd have to reload the page or whatever. So that's the main reason that we did that. But we'll see. I mean, we're winging it. We'll see how it comes out. Would I recommend going through other C++ GitHub code bases to see what is the best coding style? Or should you just stick with the style that you started? Your beginner and your code looks totally different than most of the others, and they always seem to have some things in common. It doesn't hurt to read other people's code to understand the variety of how people do things. But it's of limited utility, right? If you're a beginner, you don't necessarily know how to judge what's good and what's bad. You get a very surface impression of like, oh, I aesthetically like the way the white space is laid out or something, but that aesthetics is not based on anything deep, right? As you get more programming experience, you understand what helps you get a deep understanding of the code at a glance, and that would help guide your style. I don't think it's that good of an idea to conform your style to a standard. I think it's much better to do what feels good to you, but you also want to be smart about paying attention and developing your aesthetic of what feels good to you appropriately. But a big part of that is just getting experience programming. What are my thoughts on donating to Doctors Without Borders? I don't know super much about the group. We did a charity drive with Humble Bundle last year, where Doctors Without Borders was one of the major recipients, and that was cool. But I have not researched them very deeply myself. Certainly, if you go to an effective altruism place and look up what they say are the most effective charities, it's not charities like that. It's like usually charities that work in super, super underdeveloped areas, helping with like neglected tropical diseases and stuff like that. And it's simply because the interventions there are so cheap that you can do them for a lot of people with a little bit of money. Why did I decide to become an and that's fine. And to quash that, hundreds of people overload them, right? So it's really necessary as far as I can tell. And that's fine. It's also something that people want for convenience sometimes. Like they just want multiple versions of a procedure that take different kinds of arguments, and that probably this things are, and I could be playing for 20 minutes and then I should say, right, beginning of the project when I didn't want to spend much time on it. And that version, like I could be playing and I can Like copying and cloning memory is not good, for example, if you want to save the undo in a save game. So right now, you know, if I do a bunch of stuff, I could be playing for 20 minutes and then be like, oh, I know what I want to do, and then undo a bunch of things, right? Maybe I play for 20 minutes and I'm stuck, and then I quit the game and come back later. I would like to be able to undo later when I come back. So whatever all these undos are that happen need to go into the save game file. And the way that we do it right now is not very conducive to all that. Meanwhile, though, one thing that makes it complicated is the editor also has to be able to support undo, right? So we can run around in this thing, ignore this shadow for now. That's like the shadow map's not being configured properly. But, you know, I can like move stuff around, and I can copy and paste in the editor and rotate stuff and whatever. And then I can undo all those things. Different point. It's actually take. I don't. So and well, system, if they have different enough reference to help me quickly find the previous state of the object, and now it's green. It's like, okay, that's fine. Well, what happens? So let's undo all this again. What happens if I move my entity as my first change, and then I go do 10,000 changes on other entities, right? Whatever changes you might want. And then I change the color to green. Well, in a naive system, I would have to look back through 10,000 entity changes to figure out what color this was. And that's not very good if you want to run fast. So one of two things needs to happen. Either any particular change here needs to carry some kind of reference to help me quickly find the previous state of the object, right? Or we need to store the previous value and the current value. Now, we've skipped over some things because the value we're not storing, if we're trying to be efficient, we're not storing every value of every slot every time we record a change. Like if I say, we moved this entity, hopefully we're just storing the position change, right? We're not storing the color change, or we're not storing the color green, or whether this Boolean is checked, or any of this other stuff, right? We're not storing the mesh name. So let's say we change the mesh name later. Well, how do you find the previous mesh name if it wasn't stored, right? Again, there's two ways to do it. One is to point back at what is the last time that that particular piece of data was changed. Another one is just to save the old value and the new value. And I think my approach is going to be to just save the old value and the new value every time. Because frankly, usually that data is smaller than a pointer. In some cases, it's not. Like if you change a string field, it's not smaller than a pointer. If you change a vector, it's not smaller than a pointer. But most of the time it probably is. I don't know. And it's easy to think about. But we'll see. That has to, that's a fundamental issue, is like the information has to be there one way or the other. Does it being a turn-based game simplify the complexity versus Braid, introduce more complexity, or is it about the same? I think it introduces more complexity because the characters smoothly animate, yet the gameplay logic is discrete. So like there has to be a time during the smooth animation when I move from one square to the next, and that that seems to be what's causing complication. Whereas in an action game like Braid, you know, every frame you're at an official place. Like your visual position is mostly the same as your physical position. So this is actually more complicated, even though it looks simpler because it's grid-based. Okay, let me kick off this new T and then we'll start programming. We're not going to wait for it to... you know, it's got a little more information. We have a separate... We're going to do... enable me... we're going to... What I'm going to do is one that we have last in the undo, make sure undo started is 10. Why? I don't want to work on it when I'm too. I don't know. This going to be free for everybody. Is going to explain like I'm 5 on the project and where we are in development. Unfortunately, there isn't. If you're curious, you can go to the YouTube channel and just start watching videos. Slight tangent. Options are: the undo system tracks things in relatively high-level structs like these. It's handler dot builder S is ching. It's not really worth it right now. It would be a little bit too off topic. It's just got things that allow old is info. Okay, if pack info of the entity, but in the year crash, comma item, that should compile. Here to think about this. Let's try this again. Removing one square. What square do we start in? 6. Because like this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 2? That's 2. Okay. Yeah, so this is 6. Now we're in 5. So what is this 4, 4 stuff? Oh, because we're not recording the 5 yet. The mystery to me is where the 4 is coming from. Well, the mystery to me is a lot of things, honestly. Okay, so the reason why, let's start over for clarity's sake. The reason why so this first time, we are saving the game state when we press the key. When we press the key, our coordinate is 6. But also the coordinate of the starting copy of our entity is 6, because that's where we start in the level. So we don't do anything. We reject that member and don't store it. Now, if I move again, we will actually do it, right? And that is when we end up at 0. I don't know why we're saying 4 there. There's this 6, 5, and then 4 is like somebody else have a 47? Let's cut down on the amount of spam by, we'll also say struct index is equal to 0, like that. Because we care about the X on the entity base, not any of the X's on the guy. So there. In fact, let's cut down on all of this, right? So what are we printing? E-dest colon %. I guess that's over here. So we're going to do this. This is E-dest. If is target. How do I do that? You just need that. Okay. There we go. The old enu. Or short story is I think it's a good idea. Not that thing, right? Emotes is what you do when you want to flush. Right? Everybody that we change. Boom. Okay. Entity ID. Destruct things. Does 23. Okay. Okay. Really be simplified and cleaned up and stuff. And entangling some things. It's fixable. And things levels I'm flipping through. Do I have old projects that I can show when I was first learning? I was first learning when I was 10 years old on like the TRS-80 color computer and the Commodore 64. Something about like they might have made that one square less long or something, and that messed up the moves. Okay, let's take. Is now merely at 153. It was double that yesterday, which means any minute now we go from red to orange on this map again.
Yeah, counting my blessings over problems we had because the change is bound to happen, brother. Learn to adapt, forgive and forget.
Will once again be orange.
Because the worst times prepare us for the days of getting life should be enjoyable, problems unavoidable. They're meant to be a test to touch the waters if your soul is stronger underneath. What doesn't kill you is
Yeah, I mean, dude, when is Twitter gonna get off their butt and make a programming channel? That will give it. Next to filler blocks, means clear this. It's the stupidest thing they ever put in Windows. I wish they would get rid of it. Wish they. You can't loop the same way for some reason because you need to respond to messages, or I don't frickin' know. So you tell go look. How long is the main loop in the witness? We can go look. I don't know. I don't even remember where the main loop is. Okay. So, okay, this is game update. So who calls game update? Okay, well, the main loop is really not very much, right? But that's fine. We just call game update once per frame. This all got refactored since after I wrote it. The reason we did this is because iOS is really horrible and you need to like, you can't loop the same way for some reason because you need to respond to messages, or I don't frickin' know. So we factored everything in the loop out to this extra thing, which I'd rather not do. So this is essentially one iteration of the loop, and it's a lot longer than it kind of needs to be for the game because, for example, update grass planting is only something that happens in the editor during developer mode. You know, this is for gameplay. This is for gameplay. This is for developer mode. This is probably for developer mode. So this is when we start actually doing things you would recognize. So this just updates timers and stuff. This looks for input, and that also looks for gamepad input. That's VR device input. This keeps the mouse within the window. Walk monster is an editor thing. This is keyboard input. So this one up here. Oh, this is the game responding to input. Being called read input is maybe a little bit wrong. It should be called, you know, respond to input events with gameplay response. So after this point, we've decided what's going to happen in the current frame. And then we call our sim function, which, you know, moves objects in the world and stuff. This is when you're drawing, you know, on mazes and things. This is if you happen to be in the end game fly sequence. A bunch of cleanups for the end of the frame. This is if we're playing videos. And then we get to where we actually draw. So here's where we draw the scene. And then if we're saving a game, then we snapshot what we drew into a thumbnail so we can save that with the save file. Then we update the sound system. Then this is all for developer mode. This is like dealing with hot loading. So none of this happens during gameplay. And this is also for developer mode. It's just handling editor stuff. Steam achievements and stuff happen here. The Origin achievements, right? PS4. And then in rare cases when we want to sleep between frames, we do that here. And then if we're measuring performance. So really, like, a lot of the stuff in this loop is developer stuff that in principle doesn't happen, or in reality doesn't happen when the game is actually running for people. But this is not, like, this might seem hard to follow, but I should have actually done it in full screen so we would get better indentation and not the sloppy Emacs thing. You know, I'm sure if you look at the main loop for like Assassin's Creed or something, it's way more bananas than this. I mean, unless you factor it to hide everything that's happening, but then you're just hiding everything that's happening. What my play testing iteration process is like, and do I create a vertical slice? No and no. They strip themselves. Some of the which it. Oh, let's look at update guy position. Wait. Haywire in cases where, like, you got visuals.
Dangerous what? Danger. Telling the truth can be dangerous. Telling the truth can be dangerous business. Telling the truth can be dangerous business.
Simulation frames per render frame, and it just gets super extra weird because the sun is at such a dramatic angle on this level, which I don't think that I would choose for the actual level. All right, let's do some tests. This one. And that's not really important. We would like, but it just for performance output, so that's fine. LLVM uses register. Oops. Speak for all of we about how we are doing. My camera got rust right. I haven't construct, which is really not that they move. Isn't totally that bad. Frame for things that are moving. We've been for Christmas break and then during Christmas break do the macro thing. We'll see. Which ones those are. Turns a Boolean, and that actually makes those routines a little more complicated. Anyone else who's in the same transaction? Ah, come on, bro. Do I? Oh, it's. Let's do that. Let's do that. So. Proximity grid where we did our index. Here. It is worse than it was before. Rocks. And where's that HUD? No. I don't know what file it's in. HUDs. Go. Proximity here. Okay, we're waiting. All right, we things for how simple it was. That's always been broken right there. No, two. Like, if I hit it after the I was wondering why the other stone question. Still not going to sync? Yeah. So, oh wait, what? I draw is because edit those leaf functions to take out the physical for returning. It used so that how many levels fail. When I started this stream under the wrong topic in the wrong. Yeah. allocation can't really.
The best. Brought it. 6 frame. Zone type. Case in which the same array will have a high. Describe genre to still.
What is display width? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So what I'm... These stones are not moving, but I bet when I walk around, we're recording undo entries for all of these. And maybe some other things that you can't even see. Maybe even these floor tiles, right? So what I'm gonna do as a temporary thing is every time we move, I'm just gonna report how many undo entries were made. And then as we fix the undo system, we wanna see that number go down. So what is it called? I never remember. Let's try to type CPP. So game report, short game report, editor report, do report. Let's say game report. So in the undo system, we do this pending actions, right? This is when we sweep through, and then down here we record it. I can actually do a thing here where we swip that kind of into y minus equals o dot. That I can still undo, and I can redo. I need to make that fader fade out. That was easy. Victory, yeah. I should make game fader. Like either we should put, let's do something. So game faders. They have a Y coordinate. Where do we see? That, yeah, okay. So we're just gonna move them up arbitrarily. So if we game already exists, so it is what is it called? Fader.font something divided by back buffer dot. I've worked in so many code bases. Oh, freaking forget. It's like line. So we're gonna go. That's fine. 13 for a second. 83. Whoa. Okay. Well, there's still. That's weird. It's mergeable, which it. Questions. Back buffer.height. Okay, so yes, this is a percentage of. Let's figure out. Let's just do that. How many width and height? I'm using this. But sometimes there's so these track each other, but so that we don't dereference. Let's just do that. When we draw this, what is YY? Back buffer.height. Okay, so yes, this is of the height. Let's change that to display height. Let's change all these things. Back buffer dot.
attitude, kin of the Messiah, with the spirit of a samurai. Coincide with organic elements till I'm fortified. The horror lies in some joints. I explore the high points, stratosphere. Others try to fly, but I'm the baddest here. Battle gear, shield, helmet, sword, like the Lord. Floored by the beauty while I soar. Nihon, the name sounds like a poem. Roam for research, even if my feet hurt. Still stepped and quiet kept. My energy's befriending me. Envy never meant to be. It started last century with thought never discouraging. Landscapes that are flourishing with cherry blossom winds. Find the koi ponds, watch the day as it begins. Watch the night before it ends. Boomerang effect, return for what's next. And mic checks, flex a muscle through the hustle. Rustle feathers, get the pay. Meanwhile, beauty bombs is placed, geishas in the days. A classic feel generates the seal. Much respect to stay real, cause geishas in the days. Steady bombs and complete charms in the city and the farm, you know. Geishas in the days. Holding a spot, respect is all I got, so hear the story as I talk about geishas in the days. Ancient times combined with the new, obliged to stay true like abstract electronic settings. Betting on reality, commonly placed on the edge minus the casualties. Calligraphy takes shapes that make me understand. I'm the centerpiece, artiste in God's great plan. From Cali to Japan, respect high demands, cause I'm a centerpiece, motif, a broad mind span, fan fire. My desire used to be like bricks, fixed upon the lift, the dangle, configure the angle and try. So high, feel as if the sun rise when I pass by Fuji-san on the Shinkan. Energy that verges through my meditation. Spiritual alliance, feeling liberation. Random points of interest, intensive like a mistress. That's love from the side. How could you ever miss this unconclusive? No excuses for the super producer. Key day bombs away like geishas in the days. A classic feel generates the seal. Much respect to stay real, cause geishas in the days. Steady bombs and complete charms in the city and the farm, you know. Geishas in the days. Holding a spot, respect is all I got, so hear the story as I talk about geishas in the days. Ancient times combined with the new, obliged to stay true like addiction. Never front on fiction, historical values, life retaining secrets as I go compile clues. Use it to my benefit, I've really gotten into it. Illest in my younger days, magnifying solar rays, displays of self-control, target my body and soul, bringing new to the old. Peoples know how I roll, like black folks. Soul seems to overflow in this place. My Mac Pro glows at the shows, performing with grace. Take a taste of a basic way of life, a basic way of giving to a true form of living. Negativity sparks the bar, but will never catch. It's a shame, especially when flames versus rain. Tame society, still soul propriety. Mushrooms die, but the high will never lie. May the title be claimed at the end of the day. Hagakure, I say y'all, geishas in the days. A classic feel generates the seal. Much respect to stay real, cause geishas in the days. Steady bombs and complete charms in the city and the farm, you know. Geishas in the days. Holding a spot, respect is all I got, so hear the story as I talk about geishas in the days. Ancient times combined with the new, obliged to stay true like
stuff that you're without having. This is more complicated than it needs to be. Well, Florida. Play back all the moves.
Here we go, part 2, check me out. Once again, now where do I start? Dear love, I'm struck with the prologue to find